Hello, listeners, and welcome to another episode of the Fenced In podcast. Today, we have a fantastic guest that Ben is going to introduce for us because he has met him on the international scene before. So I'll leave Ben to do the introduction.
Thanks very much, Chris. Yeah, so hi, guys, and welcome back. Pàl Szekeres, all the way from Hungary. Pàl is an amazing figure within the sport of fencing. He is not only the president of IWAS Wheelchair Fencing, but he is actually the only man to have won both an Olympic medal and a Paralympic medal, being the team bronze medalist in the Seoul 88 Games, but then going on to win double Paralympic gold in both Barcelona and Atlanta Paralympic Games, and then also becoming a gold medalist in sabre in Atlanta, and then winning bronze medals in both foil and sabre in Sydney, Athens, and Beijing. Pàl, that's an amazing record of medals. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you, and it's nice to talk about fencing. I finished in 2012 London, and it's already 8 years ago, so the times go so fast. I have contact with fencing, but I finished my fencing. I don't want to lose against the guys who are not strong enough to beat me in old times. But I have everyday contact with fencing, and during coronavirus, we had a lot of possibility by many applications to talk about and to do something. So I'm here. I'm healthy, so we were lucky. Our family was close family was not touched with the virus, but that month has changed the life seriously.
Perfect. Well, it's really good to hear that you're healthy and everything in Hungary is going well for you personally. So you mentioned that 2012 was your last Paralympics, and you decided to retire directly after 2012.
Yes, it's. I was born in 1964, and in London I was 48 years old. Between the fights, when we had 1.5 hour, my health was okay, but after 1 or 2 fights, my blood pressure and my pulse was so high, so it was visible, not only on that machines, but also on the piste. The time is arrived to finish, and also I lost and enter to the final first time. So I wanted to finish on the top. I don't want to have the feeling, that guy was very good maybe 10 years ago, but now I beat him easily. He's a history. So it's better to be a history in Thai near the piste than to lose against a guy who just younger than you but not better. So that's why I finished, and also I had very, very strong preparation for all the games, not only for the 88. Even in 1984, we had also a strange Olympics for the socialist blocks, because it was my first international competition in the senior team. So I had anti-Olympics with the communist bloc in 1984, 1988 Olympics, and then I had 6 Paralympics, and it was enough. So there was no fire inside anymore. So it was not a real burned out, but to prepare myself to the games, it was 6 weeks, very, very hard training camp, and it was period by period more and more difficult. I had injuries. I was not in a top mental condition, because I left my family for that weeks, and I'm a father of 3. So it's not easy, but I think it was the right time to finish, and I had a very, very strange but very complete career to win quite everything.
That's quite interesting. And obviously, so your Olympic and Paralympic career spanned 5 games, is that right? So 20 years?
No, if we count from 1984, 88, 92, 96, 2000, 2004, 2008, 2012 is 8 games, 8 Paralympic periods and Olympic periods. But on that 8 games, there was 6 Paralympics, one Olympics and one anti-Olympics. What is by the law in Hungary, it's the same medal like the Los Angeles Olympic medals.
When you first became a professional fencer, or being able to dedicate a lot more of your time to fencing to compete in 84 and 88, what was life like? How was that different to what you had done before? Because you've already spoken on this call about how, you know, having a private life and that side of things. How did that cross, if it did at all, or just what was that like?
You know, it was really another millennium because we weren't behind the Iron Curtain. There was no mobile phones, not only in the East Bloc. Nowhere was mobile phones, nowhere was internet, and there was not so many sports like now, because there are many new sports and also many new possibilities for the youngs. And fencing was my first sport, so I find at once the eternal love. It was in 1976 when I was 12, and I became a professional fencer after finishing the lyceum. We call it gymnasium. You call it high school.
Yeah.
What is before the university? Yeah.
Yeah, high school is good.
And when I finished the high school, my club, I was more than 18, so not quite 19-year-old. My club gave me a real job. I became in 1983 a professional fencer. So fencing was my job. There was 10 training a week from Monday to Friday, morning and afternoon. And in that time, fencing was more important for me than the private career. So it was in the top, and everything was under fencing. It was the period from 1983 until my accident. But when I had my accident in 1991, I finished already one special school to have the possibility to open a coffee shop. What is a good possibility always in big cities like Budapest to open a coffee shop. But parallelly, I found a possibility to study on the University of Physical Education to be a fencing coach. That's what is very necessary to make in England, because in Great Britain, I think this is the only thing what is missing in fencing, the highest level of education for the coaches. So that's why you have coaches from all around the world, and you have different coaching ways, even not city by city, but even fencing hall by fencing hall or piece by piece. And it sometimes is good when you find a nice guy like Zemek, but it makes difficulties. So life was simple for that. I woke up in the morning, I went to the fencing hall, then I come home, I eat. My mother was a fantastic cooker, and then I slept 2 hours, and I went to the afternoon to have the training. And when we have in the university the week when we have to be in the university, it was in every semester 3 weeks. Then I went to study, but 95% of my activities, it was a fencing. And we had the competitions, but in that time, the current system, when you have a top 16, just start one day later. So everybody has to fence 2 days from the morning to the evening, and we have a table of 32. So we have pools with 5 or 6 fencers, and we have much more fights than you had currently, but also another system, because in a pool of 6 fencers and 3 go up, there was some fights, there was some cheatings, and that's why the system changed. Yeah, if you had 3 victories and you are up, and you fence in the last round with your friend, and if you lose 5-4, both of you go up. It's happened very often.
So it became almost like a trading game, where actually, if you realize that you might not make it through, you can ask a friend who will be going through to drop a fight so that you could make it to the next round.
Yeah, it was very typical. So that's why that system changed, and I think is a good part. But the bad part is there was a repêchage. Even if you are a top fencer, there are some fencer who is not your bird. Yeah, you call that. So you always lost, even if they are not so strong like you. And with that system, if you met with that guy, even if you are the best, you go to the shower. But with repêchage, you had one more chance, and it was good. So the direct elimination, before the final, we had the repêchage, we had one more chance. Anyway, I think it was quite the same for a fencer. We don't watch on the YouTube the fights, but we was on the finals, and we watch our opponent or our icons, how they fence, how the referees react for the actions, because it's also in a conventional sport like foil or saber. It's always very important what is the current tendency of judging, because if you compare the current foil fencing with 20 years ago, it is different, but is even bigger difference if you compare the saber fencing with the footwork, with the end of the piece, because you was able to go out from the piece and you have to come back to the 2 meter line. And if you go down again, is a touch against you. But if you touch the half line of the piece, it's deleted, so it's start the game again. So it was a tactical possibility to run back, then to build up your strategy. So now fencing is more physical because of 15 touch, and also you have less possibility for the tactic because of that. But also some new trends coming. Maybe I'm only the one of the old fencers. It's not fair to compare the fencing and the fencers, because I'm pretty sure if Philippe Omnes or Pascal Joly or Andrea Bolera or Alexander Romankov, they fence currently, they make that new style of fencing, and they are a top fencer. And also we have the same criticism when we were young from the olds. Oh, this is no fencing, this is no good, this is no system. No, it's a current system is always good. And if you like, you can find nice fencing, you can find nice touches, and also you can find your heroes. And also I see really some top guys who are not only top guys because of fencing, also very nice characters. So they are very good icons and very good examples for the young generations.
It's a really good picture you've built up there of what life was like, not only training in Hungary for yourself, but also kind of what the international scene looked like when you were a competing athlete. I know you said that, you'd kind of go training, come back, and then you would eat, sleep for 2 hours, and then go training again. In fact, Johnny mentioned that you had a distinct taste for Hungarian pancakes. Is that correct? Is that something that you would often eat after training?
We had a very funny story, because Johnny was invited by one of the Hungarian fencers, and Johnny arrived to Budapest for a training camp, and that guy changed his mind, and so Johnny had no room and no possibilities. So I invite him to my apartment. But when he came, and the next day, the taxi drivers made the roadblocks and really stopped the city. So we were not able to cross the river anymore. So we let my apartment, we let my car in the other part of the river of Danube. We walk to my parents' house, and we used the public transportation for the training. And it was a time of physical preparation. So we had a very hard training. In that part, the coaches have the possibility to hear what we are talking about them when they are not there. They are not happy because we had some bad words about the maniac and sadism and like that. And so one day my mother asked Johnny, is he like a pancake? And my mother made a pancake with the banana and with the special Hungarian yogurt, but it's not yogurt. It's called teifel. And Johnny eat 20 palachintas like that. What is perfect. 20 you can eat if you are 10 people, but not for one. So Johnny was a skinny boy, and he looks like after this he's pregnant.
Amazing. He said they were fantastic. So again, it sounds like there was great camaraderie on the international circuit, and you had many friends as well. And obviously all that training, all of those sadistic training sessions from your coaches that were exceptionally hard, all eventually took you to the Seoul Olympic Games, where you competed with obviously the Hungarian team, and you won an Olympic bronze medal. And I would probably say for myself,
We lost the gold medal.
You lost the gold medal. You lost the gold medal, but you managed to claim the bronze medal. And so how did that feel? Because for many athletes, the idea of an Olympic medal of any color is a huge achievement. So for you personally, what did it feel like to come away with an Olympic medal?
In every country have their own sport. So I think if the Brazilians arrive second in a football world championship, all the country is very disappointed. In a fencing hall in Hungary, if you want to be an icon, you have to be Olympic champion. And also, it was our ID too. In 1984, we had a very strong team, and the anti-Olympics we arrived second. We lost only with the Soviet team. And in 1988, we had one big team competition, and that time called Seven Nation, and we won it. So we beat all the teams. We beat Germany, we beat Italy, we beat France, we beat Cuba, we beat Soviet Union. We beat all the strong teams. And so our goal was to win the games. And in that time, there was 4 against 4 for 5 touches. Mm-hmm. So it's 16 fights. So which team won nine fights, they won the game. We had a very strong pool because we had Korea, Japan, Italy, and Hungary. A group of 4 teams, and only 2 goes up. Okay. So we beat Japan, Korea, and we lost against Italy. And then with that victory, with that 2 victories, we qualified to the top 16. Then we beat, if I remember well, Sweden. And then in the top 8, we beat France with Omnes, with Grok.
Wow, strong team.
Yeah. And I think that was Pascal Joliot too. Mm-hmm. And then we had the semi-final with the fantastic Soviet team, Alexander Romankov, who was one of the best foil fencer ever. There was Vladimir Aptseuri. He was the best team fencer ever, really. Incredible guy. There was Mamedov, Ilgar Mamedov, Anvar Ibragimov, Boris Koretsky. You know them as now current national coaches for their own teams. We lead 8-6. And then we lost the 2 last fights, and 8-8 index we lost. And I made 3 victories, and I won 2 times 5-0. And even that was not enough to beat the Soviet team. And for the bronze medal, we beat East Germany, and we arrived to the podium. And that days and weeks, we were disappointed because it was very, 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 very close to be in the final. And in the final, that was West Germany. And I saw the Sport Bild, what is one of the main sport newspapers in Germany. There was an interview with Matthias Baer, and he said, "We can win the Olympic Games, just we don't want to meet with the Hungarians." So they was afraid only from us. We had a big chance to be West Germany in the final because they beat East Germany in the semi-final in the piece next to us, and we were just 2 touches far from our dream to be in the final and to beat West Germany and to be Olympic champion. But after so many years, I'm very proud for the bronze medal, and it was a very, very fantastic memories because if you are national fencer in Hungary, the people who know sport knows you. If you are a medalist on a world championship, more people knows you. But if you are Olympic medalist, you become so popular, and it's so nice to walk on the street, especially when you are a young boy. I was 24. There was many people coming to me, shaking my hands. It was also very good in the discotheques when the boys comes to shake my hands and invite me to drink. And even was even better when the girls come to me, just to talk with the bronze medalist. So it was nice, and we were really looking forward to win the Barcelona Olympic Games. But 1 year before the Olympic Games happens my accident. So I was not very lucky with the Olympics in that case.
It sounds like, there was a bit of disappointment from not winning the Olympic gold medal, but as you say, in hindsight now, looking back, it feels still quite special to you, and there was still obviously more to come. You felt very excited for the next Olympic Games, but then obviously this extraordinary thing happened to you, and when your accident happened, that obviously changed your life significantly. But what amazes me is the fact that happened, I think you said, in 1991, and
Yes.
you competed at the 92 Paralympics. So
Yes.
roughly about a year afterwards. How did it feel going through all of that and the recovery process, both mentally, physically, and kind of talk us through, if it's okay, a bit about the scenarios around the accident itself? From
1988, I really became a strong fencer. I won in Paris in 1988, and with that victory, I come to the second position on the world ranking. And 1989, it was my strongest year in everybody fencing. I won in Budapest the Turlai Cup, and I had many finals. So before the last competition, I was number one in the world, and I had bad days in Bonn, and I went out. So I arrived in fourth position in the world ranking. What I think is amazing, is fantastic. Okay, it's not the first, but to be fourth in a ranking of the world in anything is great. My diary was completely full with the study, with the competitions, and also I helped to my families. Don't forget that we're talking about the years when Hungary became independent again, after 40 years of communism. So there was many possibilities. So I really was very, very busy. I studied parallelly in two schools, and I helped to the family business. So I really was very active. And in that time, we were preparing of 1991 Budapest World Championship. And in Budapest, I had many finals, and also I won competitions. So I really was looking forward to make something big. We went to the Bonn World Cup competition by bus, and coming home, we had an accident near Regensburg. It was our driver's fault, and I just heard a big bad voice in my head, and then I woke up on the field near the motorway, and I touched my legs, and I didn't feel my legs. So I told the diagnosis at once to István Szelei, who came to me. My spine is broken, and I need medical help at once. And there came the helicopter. They take me to the hospital, and there was an operation to stabilize my spine because it was completely broken. And my legs was broken, my ribs, my left arm had a serious injury. Half of my face, the left part of my face, for a week I was not able to open my eyes. It was damaged very much. I was shocked because of the accident, but then I said, oh, maybe I will not fence in the 1991 Budapest World Championship. And then after 2 weeks, I realized it's not a question if I fence or not. It's a question if I will be able to stand up and walk or not. Then I have to understand I survived the accident, what is a part of luck, because if I fly and I arrive not to the field, I can arrive even into the motorway and I die. So I have to realize my diary, what I told you before, what was completely full, now is completely empty. I'm a guy in a wheelchair, but I don't know how to live as a wheelchair user, how to dress, how to eat, how to change dresses. And I had to learn again like a baby, how to dress, how to eat, how to go to the toilet, how to sit in the car, how to drive. I went to back again a baby, and for that is a rehabilitation center was very good, especially in Germany. So I was far a little bit from home. I had 7 months to rebuild Pàl Szekeres. And the first year is always very difficult after such a big accident, but also possibility to rebuild your relations and to say for the people who you don't like, okay, go away, I don't want to talk with you. You have a possibility to say friends who are not friends anymore because of your mistakes. Oh, guys, come back to me. Let's start again our relation. So it was a possibility. And also, I saw a lot of guys, a lot of German guys during the rehabilitation to be happy and to be successful. And I said, if they can do this, I can try again. And in that time, I had a call from Germany. And the German wheelchair fencing team's head coach was Sándor Batizi, who was an excellent saber coach. He was a coach of Imre Bujdosov, for example, or Pál Gerevich. Both are champions. So he called me and he invited me to the training camp, a wheelchair training camp. And I was thinking about it, but my doctor gave for that week my bed to another patient. So I had two possibilities, or to sleep in a one single bed with a very big Bavarian guy, or to have a training camp. And so I choose the training camp. And on the training camp, I saw two things. One is what is perfect for me in the rehabilitation center, in the normal everyday facilities, buildings and streets are not like that. There are not automatic doors, there are not ramps everywhere. So I have to go back after this training camp to the rehabilitation center to learn. But also I saw I can be fencer again. And after the training camp, there was a European Championship, and I won the European Championship. And I went back to the hospital as a champion again. And I arrived from the hospital to Hungary as a European champion. So the people come to see me and to shake my hands and to congratulate to my new title. Not to say, oh, poor Pal, oh, poor you are in a wheelchair, so you are disabled. No, I'm a disabled, but I was an athlete again, and I was a champion. And it's given me a new possibility and a new hope. So I saw after the accident, all the doors are closed. And I saw another corridor with many, many doors, what I can open. And based on my family help, and based on my friends, and especially based on my girlfriend, and now she's my wife. So with that help and with that motivation to see them happy when they look at me, it was quite automatic. I come back to the piste, and I think it's looks like a soap opera story when something happened and then everything is going up and everything looks perfect in another way. So when I come back, there was no wheelchair fencing in Hungary. I received back my motivation, but I saw that the life is more complicated in wheelchair, because in that time we don't have a law for accessibility in Hungary. So my diary can't be full like before. So that's why I started to learn again in a university to be an economist. And also I built up around me a wheelchair fencing. So in that time, we built a club in 1992, and we made a lot of activities. And I involved in the movement of physical disabled. I became very active as a civil person, and I think it's during 3 years I find myself again, and from this time, so maybe it's in 1994, 3 years. I can tell you my life is happy and really complete. So nothing missing from my life. I had a very successful fencing career, because from 1991 until Sheffield European Championship, what was in 2012, more than 20 years, I was always medalist in the main event. on the current year in the European Championship, World Championship for Paralympic Games. Few times double medals because I trained two disciplines, foil and saber. Parallelly, in the final, I have 3 university degrees. I have 3 children, wonderful wife, a lot of friends, and also we didn't talk about it, but I had a personal career in public administration. I was Deputy Secretary of State, responsible for disabled sports between 1998 and 2002. And then for 3 more years, I had this work, but in a different position. And in 2010, I come back to the public administration. So now permanently is the 3rd government I work in a high position. In the first 4 years, I was Deputy Secretary of State, responsible for sport. We made a very big development project, also for fencing. So we have now a lot more fencer and a lot more activities and new clubs. And in the last 8 years, I work in a social welfare department, and I work for the disabled, and also I work also for partly for the disabled sport. I have a very complete life, and my diary now really full.
Again, I think what's amazing, and Chris and I had discussed this as well, is that, as you said, there were doors that closed for you, but you were able to see other doors that opened for you. And I'm sure many people psychologically would have felt broken and not able to carry on. And there were huge challenges you said you faced, not only in day-to-day life, getting changed, learning how to get in and out of cars again, but also around the city of Budapest and Hungary and around the world. You know, there were obviously things that were difficult, like getting in and out of restaurants, and everyday life moving around the city became challenging. But again, as you said, it's the psychological approach to this, which is, you know, you became a champion again. And I think that was not only just for the piece, it seemed almost like in life you found yourself again. And actually what seems like a really short space of time, and it looks like you changed the face of disabled sport within your city, within the country, by getting involved with some of the civil service work. So yeah, Chris and I were just amazed by the change.
I have to react for that, because everybody had problem in their own life, and when you don't face the problem is stay with you. And always your problem is always the biggest and always bigger than others' problem. And when somebody has such a big problem like I had, because I'm also now sitting in a wheelchair, then the people can maybe understand their own problem is a small problem, but you have to focus on the problem and you have to resolve it. It's not good when you have a problem, you just say, oh, I have this and I have that, because then you will lose your friends. Mm-hmm. The friends is always ready to help for you, but it's not fair if only they help for you and they only they are around you and you are not making the same. So I think it's very important. We say, with the example with the lion, when the lion lose a fight, go to the cave to be alone, to recover. When the lion comes again out from the cave, he's a lion again, strong, see, mentally, physically. So there is a period when you are down, when you have problems. You have to focus. You have to let the helps come to you. Medical help, physical help, friends help, and then you can go back. So it's I think, to go to the drug, to go to the alcohol because of the problems is not a good choice. It's a good choice if you start new activities, if you say, okay, that part of my life is finished, but there come a new part and new possibilities.
So it also definitely sounds as though fencing provided you with an opportunity and a pathway, and fencing being a sport that you were passionate in. But I've seen fencing be a catalyst for so many people, myself included, to other avenues in life that we never would have approached. And also, you know, sport and fencing has got me through bad times and good times, and the consistency and in that love and desire for the sport has been able to pull me through times in my life, and it's always been there, and I'm still there with it, and it will always be there in some way. And I think that's probably very important. It's very important to me, but it definitely sounds like that was one of the things that allowed you to get past the hurdle that that was in front of you.
Fencing is a very unique sport, because the fencing is teaching you to arrive in time. You have weapon in your hand, so you have to be careful. So when you are young, it's not like that in a fencing hall. You don't see people running with the weapon in the hand. So in fencing is a military sport. We know how to be very normal. If you compare with the guys who not civilized in the sport clubs, and one hand. In the other hand, fencing is teaching you to win and also teaching you to lose, because after the fight you shake hands, and if you lose, you congratulate, and if you win, you receive that congratulations. And what was for me very, very, very special, when I saw after my first victories, the people look at me as a good example, as an icon, and I had to realize I have to learn, and I have to be better person to be that. And I tried to do that, because it was a very strong need from outside and also very strong need from inside. And the combat sports, the fighting sports, is much more different than the team sport or a cycling sport. If you can't use your fighter character on the piste, you can't bring the 100% out from your fencing. And when my accident happened, I saw I have to bring out from my character the 100% in a way of fighting. Mm-hmm. I really fight to win back my normal life. I went to the gym like the others, but I made a double, because I don't want to spend one year in the hospital. Mm-hmm. I want to be faster. I made my rehabilitation during 3 months, and they told me the rehabilitation is 3 to 6 months. And I was fighting, and my fighting is based on the fencing, because on the piste, if you have pain everywhere, you are tired. So you can fence, you can continue. But if you have pain in one point, okay, you say stop, is an injury. So you learn your body too. And also, if you, between the 2 competition days, you go out, you went very late, you drink, and you eat heavy food, the day after, you surely lose. So also, your body, how much you have to sleep, and how many beers you can drink, because I think, and is my Ars Poetica, you can do everything, or quite everything, with a normal limit. So why not drinking a wine? Why not eating a heavy food? Why not going outside and come back 5 o'clock in the morning? But you have to find the right balance and the right time. Because if you had a six week of training camps before the World Championship, surely you are not going out. Surely you are not drinking much, maybe a 1 beer or 1 glass of wine or champagne. After, when you had the successful World Championship, you have 1 month, and you can do everything, because mentally and physically you can control yourself. And if you lose a little bit of control, even there is another machine what controls you. So I never saw fencers to be permanently loser because of our fighter character. And that's why you see in Hungary, especially, you see many fencers in a very, very high positions. And if I want to buy a car, I go to a fencer. If I want to find a nice hotel accommodation, I go to the fencer. If I have a problem with my health, I go to the fencer. If I want to buy a nice dresses, I go to the fencer. Fencers are everywhere. And also, when something happened, like my accident, that network is like a spider net.
Yeah,
it keeps you to not fall down.
It's amazing, and actually, I like the way that you kind of say that the psychology that was required was like the fight on the piece to fight to have life back again. And I think that you're right. Fences are everywhere, and it's a great community that we have. And I think sharing stories like these are a great way to empower other athletes in the community. And it looks like you transferred a lot from able-bodied fencing to wheelchair fencing. If we look now at more of the mechanical-based stuff, what kind of challenges did you face? But also, what things could you transfer from being an able-bodied fencer into wheelchair fencing that obviously made you such a successful able-bodied fencer to such a successful wheelchair fencer? What could you transfer, and what challenges were there along the way?
In able-bodied fencing, the leg and the arm movements, the coordination is very important, because if that two part of your body is not working together, you will not able to parry, or you are not able to move out from the distance or find the right distance. This in wheelchair fencing is different, but the basic technique, the attacks, the parries, the place is quite the same. And is tactical is the situation when you are very close to the end of the piece. So you are in the distance of one lunge, and your opponent doesn't let you out. So you have to resolve this tactical situation from that short distance. It's the same for wheelchair fencing. So if you come as able-bodied fencing, you are standing in 4 meters, and here is so close. If you don't know what you want to do after pre-alley, after 15 seconds, you realize you lost 5-0.
Yeah.
So for that case, wheelchair fencing is faster. So it's if you compare able-bodied foil and wheelchair fencing foil, it's like able-bodied foil and saber. So the things happens much faster. And for that, tactical is different. But if you have a good technique, you can be a good fencer in wheelchair and in longer time. Because what's the problem of the fencer? Why they finish? They finish because of the legs. They are not strong enough. They are not flexible enough. They get more often injuries. So in wheelchair fencing, you have a longer career. There is one guy, but is really unique. He's Robert Sittern. His first Paralympic Games was in 1988. And he will go to Peking, to Beijing next year. So I think he's close to 60, but he was very lucky, and also I think he worked for it very hard. So longer career, less competitions, and also you have less opponents, because if not, you have the same quantity of opponents. It means the half of the world are disabled. It's a nightmare. But we have quite a nice competitions. And also we had the first World Cup circuit in year of 2000. I know because I had the trophy in my vitrine. And now we have a nice competitions. And also we had a very, very good qualification period. We had competition in Georgia, very nice competition. We had the competition in Netherlands. We had the competition in Hungary, in Italy. We had the competition in Brazil and in Canada. We had the World Championship in Korea. And if I compass, we have a much better facilities for the competition than the able-bodies, because normally our competitions are in a 5-star hotel. So we sleep in a 5-star hotel, and in the ballroom of 5-star hotel are our competitions, or 4-star hotel. This not because we are focused on the luxus. It's because in that hotels have the facilities for so many wheelchair people. Because in some competitions we have over 200 athletes from all around the world, and it makes a lot of logistical questions. So it's better to stay in one place, because we need to transfer the wheelchairs, the sport wheelchairs, the bags, and it's need a lot of logistics. So we have much more similarity than differences. There are the special frame, what fix the position of the 2 fencer chairs. So we have a fencer chairs, and we have rules for the distance. We have rules for the fencing chair, and also we have rules how you sit in the chair, because with that you can cheat with the distance. So we have also video referee also watching, and the side assistants watching what you do with your body, and also you are not able to stand up in the chair because it's an unfair advantage, and also that's are different. But I can tell you, for me now, this is fencing. Is if you can say, is the fourth discipline of fencing. That is foil fencing, saber fencing, épée fencing, and wheelchair fencing. So even if you are épée fencer, you can sit down and you can make foil fencing in wheelchair, and you will understand the rhythm and the timing and the tactic. And who is good fencer is a good fencer. It doesn't matter which weapon you make.
It's so much fun to do wheelchair fencing. I have the pleasure of coaching Dimitri and Oliver, and I've spent many hours in the chair with them. And I love how similar it is, but also the differences in the game. And when I was coaching these guys, the first event that I ever went to with them was Eger in Hungary, and had that event there. And
you tried the wine in Eger?
We tried the wine, after the competition, as you said. We tried the wine, and it was a beautiful venue.
Timing is also always very important. The
timing. Exactly. Timing of the touches and timing of the wine, for sure. And we had an amazing event. It was in a 5-star hotel. Everything was on site, and the community felt very strong. Everyone was very friendly. I had the pleasure of meeting Robert Saturn, and one of my younger students, Oliver, when he first came up against him, was like, "Oh, this guy seems a bit older." And I said, "Yeah, but be careful. He's very wise. He's been around for a long time." And the whole the scene of wheelchair fencing is very warm and friendly, but also exceptionally competitive. And some of the fencing.
But you know why? The fencing family, the able-bodied fencing family, is also a very good community.
Absolutely.
There is one thing what is connect you is fencing, and that makes that family, because it's quite a similar age group, quite a similar motivation, quite a similar problems, because everybody have problems. And in wheelchair fencing, there is fencing and there is the disability. Two things what connects you. Sure. And that's why it's more familiar than the. And even if you go back in the time, it was even more friendly atmosphere, but it was a kind of amateurism. And now it's became professional. We have professional athletes in wheelchair fencer. There are prize monies. The Paralympic champions receive money and receive a lot of sponsorship and prestige in their own countries. So that makes that family less close than before the beginning of 90s. But also another thing, because we all use the same facilities. So even if you come from the poor country or a rich country, you are in your training dress and you are in the same hotel, you eat the same food. And after the competition, you are in the same bar testing the local things. And also what is very good is also makes good changing in the hotel services. So the people realize, because at first in every hotel they are afraid from us. Oh, they come, what we can do, or how we can resolve that distances because of the able-bodied and disabled people. And now it's become normal. So and if you go to the downtown of Eger, there are many buildings protected by a law of heritage, and they built small mini ramps. If you go to a pub, you can see tables on that days on the Eger World Cup where are tables but no chairs, because come the guy with wheelchair. So everything is automatic and everything is normal. And I saw also in our club, we have one integrated club. We opened a fencing section of an old club. We train together. So come a young guy, age of 8, 9 or 10, they can see in a fencing club and one integrated training. We have a wheelchair piece, we have able-bodied piece. There are some exercises, warm-ups, and some plays what they can do together. And also when there is a a home competition. You call it home competition?
Yeah, national competition, home competition.
No, home. Inside the fencing hall, we call it home competition. The able-bodied and disabled, they fence together. But now in the national team, in foil, we have one national training, what is inclusive. So able-bodied and wheelchair have in the same time the national training day, because Hungary is not a very big country. You are able to come by car to the capital and go back 2.5 hour maximum. So we have national trainings every day, 1 or 2 times, and the people come from the other cities, from different clubs, and it's integrated. So if you go there, there is Daniel Dosha, if you know, or Fanny Kreis, or Aida Mohamed, our top fencers, together with our top wheelchair fencers. And they train together. And one other interesting thing, when Gábor Bocskó and MSS Szász had a serious injury, leg injury, they come to train with the wheelchair fencers.
Yeah,
and
nice.
they was able to sit, because sometimes when you are attacked and your hands is not in a perfect movement, you make a big compensation with the legs. But when you are sitting, you have to make the correct movement, because if you do something like deck and wheelchair, they attack you. So you have to go with the point. You have to be more precise with the parry post or with the prise de fer. So it helps to makes you a better fencing hand. And if you know the big generation of Soviet fencing, the first big generation, what is Zdanovic, Sveshnikov, Putyatin, so it's the 60s, 70s, they had 8 hours training a day. And there was the last hour, they was sitting and they just had a hand work because the legs were tired. And also they realized that even without wheelchair fencing. So wheelchair fencing is a good training for an able-bodied fencer to be more precise with the point, with the hands. Yeah. So if you fence, for example, Rei Yuyi, he's a Chinese guy, and you make the same attack, and he make a parry riposte with the coupe. Its arrive is always the same point. It's a touch and it's painful. And you see the precisity, because what is very important in fencing, you can have maybe 50 possibilities to give touches, 50. Okay. And from that 50 possibilities, you have to give 15 touches. But what's happened if you have only 40 possibilities or 30, because your opponent is very good? You have to be a good economist to work with that possibilities. And if you are 85% of your attacks, what is good timing but not good place, because it just from 10 attack, 8 is in a valid place and 2 is off target because of your fault, because of precisity, and you fence with Garozzo, you will lose.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Percentages.
So sometimes you really have maybe 19 possibilities to give 15 touches. And the top fencers, they give from 15 possibilities, 15 touches. And if you are quite a top fencer and you compass this percentage of your parry riposte, of your attack, you can see the top fencers. The genius don't talk about genius, don't talk about Golubitsky, Omnes. They are living in another planet. They come together with Superman. Don't talk about them. But normally, it's very important. If you do one action, it has to be perfect. Not off target, not passé. That movement in a wheelchair helps for you to concentrate. And also one other additional sport, if you make dart, what is very popular and you can bring, is also makes you a very good concentration for that seconds to focus. Is very good. It's very good because you have very limited time to give touches.
You're right. It sounds like there's a huge crossover between able-bodied and wheelchair fencing, which a lot can learn from each other. And so obviously in that short time you recovered and you were able to then go on to win your Paralympic gold medal. And actually, how did that feel to go from that to winning that Paralympic gold medal? And out of all the medals that you've won, is there one that is the most special to you?
Even if my personal life had a big broken, what is not only symbolic because my spine was broken, my fencing career is a complete career. So for me to win the Paralympic Games, it gives me something back to not winning the Olympic Games. So I win the top competition, even 2 times, 3 times. And my top fencing was in Para World when I won in 1985 and 1986 foil and saber individual in Blackpool. It was that very difficult to have a right timing for,
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
beat, but it doesn't matter. I resolved the problem. It was my top, but in able-body career, the top was to win a Martini and the Turley Cup, the individual World Cups. One is at home, and in the one is the capital of foil is Paris. And but always, if you are competitive still on the piste, always the last one is the best one, but you missing one more medal. So the next one is the more important. But in my career, when I made the best fencing on the piste, it was in 1989 Turley Cup, when my last touch was a step back to make a quart paré and to make 1-2 with a lunge to give the last touch.
Beautiful.
So it was my last touch, and I became a world number 1 with that touch on the ranking.
Amazing.
So it was my top. But I also had nice memories with other fencers, and I think there was one time in a Rommel Cup in Paris World Cup when the currently in that time the 8 best fencers was in the final, and I saw one fight between Pascal Joliot and Alexander Romankov, and what they made that in that 10 touches, it was amazing. And even if I was in that time a top fencer, I went back and I told to my coach, I had to learn a lot, just closer to this level. And I think I have 3 children, and if you ask me which is my favorite, I say I was only one alone, and I don't understand how you can love 3 child with the same love. All my mothers, they are my children, so I love all my mothers. All the medal have their own stories. It's not fair to say for one is closer to me. It's a complete career with lot of medals, and this is my fencing heritage, and all is close to my heart. The first medal what I won in 1970, first gold medal 1979, or I won in 1984 a junior competition only for the socialists, but in the final there was Mamedov, there was Ibrahimov, there was a great guys, there was some of Cubans who became very, very famous. So I think it's difficult to compare. I let you to choose
Okay.
from my medals, and my families is always close to me, and it was very nice to win my last title in Sheffield in 2012, because it was an integrated championship, and some of wheelchair fencers don't know I was an able-bodied fencer. All of the people come to see my fencing, and it was the last final, and I fenced with a very, very strong French guy. 2 competitions what we fenced before, he beat me, and that one gave me so much plus motivation. Old friends from all around the world comes to me to win. It's also a nice memory.
As one final word to the viewers that are listening, what is in a few words, what can you say to those fencing athletes, both able-bodied and wheelchair fencers, that are in lockdown? What advice could you give them right now?
Do everything what you like to do, but you have to find the right time for that. So maybe you will miss a party because of the training camp, but you will have another party. Train a lot, listen carefully what your coach telling you. Don't forget there is a life also outside from the piste. Be a double career, be a good friend, be a good boy, be a good husband or wife, be a good father. If you have a good character and if you work hard, you will find your success in the fencing, and the fencing will be a big help for you to be successful outside of the piste. And there are fencers everywhere. So if you see this video, I'm a fencer. So if you're Hungary and if you have a problem, contact me, and the network is working.
Perfect. Pàl, thank you so much. I mean, I'm sure Chris and I could sit here all day and talk to you with such amazing stories that you have and such an incredible career. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. And
thank you.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thank you for the possibility. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you.
Oh, that was brilliant. It was so great to have Pàl on and hear all the stories that he's got. He's got so many fascinating insights and opinions and things that he's done. His experience is second to none. And actually, I've learned a lot from that. And so next week, we have another fantastic guest for you. So we're going to keep you guessing. And in the meantime, you can listen to us on Google, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and Transistor. And you can also subscribe, review, and get in touch using our Twitter page.
That was Pàl Szekeres. What an incredible man. Guys, get in contact, get reviewing. Follow us on Twitter at the Fenced In Podcast. We've got plenty more to come.
Cheers. See you then.
Thanks. Bye.
The Fenced In Podcast has been created in association with J4G Design, your one-stop user experience agency for all things digital, websites, graphic design, and technical support.